kicking, causing a terrible fuss. You've been leaving slime everywhere you hide, eating all my cheesecake and never washing a dish, pushing over the trash can at midnight. What's with you, dude? You make trouble galore and you are downright rude. Hey you! Get out from under my bridge. Get out from under my bridge. You slink into my police, throwing garbage everywhere. You insult my friends without a care. You throw around monkey do like my channel is your throne. Go away, shoo. Hey you! Troll! Get out from under my bridge. Hey you! Troll! Get out from under my bridge. Get out from under my bridge. Hey you! Troll!
Hi, I am Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. I want to tell you about my t-shirts. You can get your own at deaditesanddeck.com today. And if you don't want to take my word for it, here's a satisfied customer.
Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel, the cutest rockin' squirrel in the universe.
Hi, my name is Hindley, and this is Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. If you want to rock and shred like this, go to deadicesondeck.com.
Hi, I am Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. Don't forget to watch Evil Dead Chick on Deadites on Deck on YouTube. Oh, and subscribe, man.
Time for another Evil Dead Chicks Top 10.
The gang is going camping. We left Jason behind. We will talk about slashers, of killers without hockey masks. Poor Jason, he's crying in the forest. Never fear, we will invite him next Friday, 13. above all, don't forget to watch Evil Dead Chicks Top 10.
Howdy, gang. And I forgot to change my font. I knew there was something I was forgetting to do here. Give me just a second there. Happy Friday the 13th to you too, the poet, and anybody else that is in here right now watching. And welcome to another Evil Dead Chicks Top 10. We're going to be turning Friday the 13th on its ear tonight because, surprise, surprise, I'm not going to be, I sound like Gomer Pyle. Surprise, surprise. But anyway, moving along from that. I try to be funny when I'm obviously not funny. Sorry about that, folks. But huge surprise, I'm not going to be talking about any Friday the 13th movies. What we're instead going to be talking about is Evil Dead Chicks Top 10 non-Friday the 13th slashers of 1980. And we're going to also see if any of y'all's favorites made the list, okay? So, instead of doing a standard, Friday the 13th type show, I thought I would, like I said, turn things on its ear, flip things upside down a little bit. Do something that's maybe unexpected, right? Because you never know with me, do you? So hopefully some of your guys and gals' favorites made this list. If not, hey, feel free to let me know in the chat, or if you watch this on the replay, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on those. And some of these you might agree with me on, some of them you may really disagree with me on, but I think this is going to be a fun one. But we're going to get to that here in just a second. But I do want to let you know that tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, will be The Changeling as part of the watch along weekend, which I'm still keeping right now to one movie per weekend. If, necessity indicates that, you guys and gals will want to see me go back to having one on Saturday and Sunday every other weekend, I will do so. But I need to hear from you guys and gals. I may put up a poll about that to see what y'all like. But also, I wanted to tell you, and some of y'all may be happy to hear, that the situation that maybe, or I guess situation would be the best way to put it, because it's not really an opportunity, or not an opportunity anymore, that was going to necessitate me changing my stream times is not going to happen. So I've taken that poll down, but I will keep in mind what people picked, or what got the most picks, in case that situation presents itself again later on down the road. But never fear, you guys aren't going to have to worry about me changing my time right now. So I just wanted to get that out there as well. And before we get to these movies, I just want to remind you guys and gals that there are several different ways to support me and the channel, and it won't cost you a dime. One of the ways, and one of the easiest ways, is by subscribing. Just hit that subscribe button, folks. If you're enjoying the content I'm putting out, there are absolutely no drawbacks, okay? It's you and you alone that knows. I don't go looking to see which people have subscribed to my channel. I look at the numbers. And that's the honest truth, coming straight from the Evil Dead Chick, okay? So once you subscribe, you can hit that notification bell. So hopefully, if everything's working right, YouTube had his ducks in a row. If you hit that all notifications, you should theoretically get all the notifications for when I put up a new video or I'm doing a stream or what have you. And then you can hit that like button on stuff you especially enjoy. And heck, if you like it all, hit that like button all across the board, folks. And here's one more way that you can support me and the channel, and it won't cost you a dime, won't cost anybody you tell about the channel a dime. And that's by sharing with friends and family members that you think might also enjoy the content. You can share my channel, and you can do this one of two ways. One, by word of mouth. You can say to friends and family members, hey, you know, you like horror. Have you checked out Evil Dead Chick over at Deadites on Deck? She's doing some really cool stuff. Hopefully you think it's cool. Got some exciting programming and all that good stuff. Or you can share my channel name, or you can share one of your favorite videos or streams that I've done either recently or in the past, and tag me or tag the channel at Deadites on Deck in that share. All right. So let's get to these movies, shall we, before I lose my whole entire audience. And remember, these movies that I talk about on Evil Dead Chicks Top 10 are not in any certain order. These are just ones I pulled off my shelf that I thought fit the bill. So the first one I want to talk about is Funeral Home. Now, some people might think this is a little hokey and all that, and that's okay. Nothing's wrong with a little hokey. This is a Canadian-made film. It does have Kay Hawtrey on it. It has Leslie Donaldson on it. Has several, Harvey Aitken, several Canadian actors and actresses that showed up in other Canadian films around this same time period. Okay. And this Funeral Home tells the story of Heather, played by Leslie Donaldson, who is coming to stay with her grandmother, who's trying to turn reluctantly. Her grandmother is turning her old funeral home into a bed and breakfast after the death or the disappearance, they say, of her husband. But once Heather gets there, kind of weird things. She hears whispering down in the basement when she's trying to get to sleep. You know, there's weird things going on about, you know, is her grandfather dead? Is he just missing? What befell him? And is grandma telling the truth about Mr. Chalmers? And we find out all kinds of things during a lot of twists and turns. And this does have a very eerie ending in it. Oh, and Alf Humphreys is in this from My Bloody Valentine. God rest your soul, Alf Humphreys. Alf Humphreys had passed away in the last few years. Hokey pokey. Yeah, Steve's calling it hokey pokey. But Alf Humphreys passed away in the last few years, I believe, of brain cancer, sadly. So God bless you, Alf Humphreys. I enjoyed watching you in My Bloody Valentine and Funeral Home and others. And I think this is a great little Canadian slasher that has a very creepy ending. It even kind of gives my dad the heebie-jeebies. And I don't want to explain it too much because I don't want to give out all these twists and turns along the way in case you have not seen Funeral Home. This is the Blu-ray release that Scream Factory put out quite recently. You can see this will drive some people crazy. The slip cover is not different than the cover on the inside. But I do think this is a fun movie and a creepy movie in spots. All right. Now, here once again is the movie that Uncle Bill at Dead Pit Radio says, like watching old people eat. I disagree. Hence me having it on my top 10 non-Friday 13 slashers of 1980. He Knows You're Alone. Has the debut of Mr. Tom Hanks in it. So we've got a killer who was jilted at the not at the altar, but jilted before he was able to marry his girlfriend. And she meets another guy, falls in love with him, jilts this other guy, and he stabs her to death on her wedding day. Nice, isn't it? So he gets sent away for a long time and breaks out and comes back to town to kill basically any girls, any young women that are planning on getting married, including our heroine, Amy, played by Caitlin O'Haney in this. And my man, Don Scardino, I love this guy. And I had the biggest crush on him as Marvin in this movie. You guys and gals may have heard me talk about that before. I love Don Scardino. And I especially love him as the Marvin character. I mean, if you're a woman and you don't fall in love with this sweet, nerdy, lovable guy, I just don't even know what to say. But when you hear Don Scardino talk during interviews, he has that same laid back, kind of lovable persona. So I'm hoping that's the way Don Scardino is most of the time. But as Marvin, I just love that guy. And he is so in love with Amy, and they once had a thing, and she met Phil, and, you know, her and Marvin became a non thing. But I don't think she ever forgot how she felt about Marvin. And so the romantic tension is still between the two of them. This also has the distinction of having one of those great head in a fish tank kills, where somebody gets beheaded and their head ends up in the fish tank with live fish swimming around. I don't know. That's one of those kills, the after effect of a beheading that is just, I'm like, oh, that is so cool. You know, even if you can tell it's not a real head. I think there was, I think Eyes of a Stranger, I think also had a fish tank kill where I think that actor actually put their head up through some water and made it, you know, that was a little more realistic. But this one in He Knows You're Alone is still great. I love it when that one comes up all the time. This is directed by Armin Mastroianni. I think it's a tight little slasher. I don't find any problems with it. I don't find it slow or anything. But yeah, just don't ask Uncle Bill over at Dead Pit Radio about that movie. He won't have the same reaction that I do. Next up, and Steve, if you're still in here, this is your copy that I borrowed off your shelf because I was too lazy to go get mine. Lamberto Bava's Macabre. Okay, folks, this is a wild one, and it's loosely based on a supposedly real story of a woman who apparently went and dug up her dead lover or a piece of him or whatever, or maybe his head, or and was having relations with it. So you kind of get the same premise here, folks. Very sick and twisted movie. And not only that, but they have a young girl who gets jealous that her mom won't come home when she would prefer to stay with her lover in this hotel or whatever, or bed and breakfast or whatever in Louisiana. Then come home and be with her. So she drowns her baby brother in the bathtub. Yeah, sick little girl. And the mother finds out about it, is rushing home with the lover, and they are in a terrible car accident, and he gets killed very brutally. And apparently she can't live without the guy, or she can't live without pieces of him. So she keeps going back to this little bed and breakfast hotel, whatever you want to call it. And she keeps something locked in the freezer in her room. And you'll just have to watch this to find out what that may be. But she's making all kinds of sexual noises at all times of the night. And you can kind of guess what she's doing. But twisted film, but still a lot of fun. And I think Lamberto Bava did a great job with Macabre. All right. So the next one is, of course, the Joe Spinell exploitation splatter classic, Maniac. And I say splatter classic because some people may say, well, yeah, but Dana, he strangles some prostitutes. He cuts her hair off. He puts it on mannequins' heads and talks and cries to them and calls them mommy and, you know, acts like they're his mommy. Yes, Joe Spinell does all of those things as Frank Zito in the movie Maniac. This is a very dark movie. It's a very gritty movie. It's not a movie that's going to make you feel good or clean, right? You're going to feel like you need a shower after watching Maniac. It also has the lovely Caroline Munro in this. Again, have nothing against attractive women. Caroline Munro is one of my favorites. And she was also a Bond girl, for those of y'all that care to know any more about her. It was directed by William Lustig, who did Maniac Cop 2 and Vigilante. And the effects are by Mr. Tom Savini. And the reason why I call this a splatter classic is because there are some pretty bloody stabbings. That blood's going everywhere. But here's the coup de grace, folks, or what I think is the coup de grace. Tom Savini plays a character called Disco Boy in this film. And he gets to blow his own head off in this film. And you want to talk about splatter classic. It's splattering stuff all over the place. And it's basically a slow motion shot, right? And Joe Spinell does a fantastic job of playing the very deranged Frank Zito, who was abused as a boy by his mother, who was evidently a little bit of a hoe, and she was going out, you know, messing around with anybody and everybody, and leaving poor Frankie alone by himself. And she also abused him, burning with cigarettes and other various things. And believe it or not, folks, this can be considered a Christmas film because if you notice in the background, there are Christmas trees and different things that lead you to believe that this is Christmas time. Plus, there's snow on the ground, so it's definitely cold and a winter type movie. And Joe Spinell absolutely steals the show in this movie. And if you have never seen Maniac, yeah, it's an exploitation classic. Yeah, it's gritty, makes you feel dirty, makes you feel like you need a shower afterwards, but it's got some great effects, and Joe Spinell knocks it out of the park. I mean, you can really believe for the 90 or so minutes that this film is on that he is the deranged Frank Zito. So that is a Maniac. I'm going to have a couple of holiday type films in this grouping. And one of these is New Year's Evil, starring Roz Kelly and Kip Niven. God rest Kip Niven's soul. He's no longer with us as well. I think Roz Kelly's still around. Grant Kramer is also in this. I think this might have been Grant Kramer's first movie. It was before he did Killer Clowns from Outer Space, folks, which was another movie he was in, among others. I love New Year's Evil. Is it a very good movie? No, there's a lot of things bad about it. We're supposed to have a New Year's Evil celebration. Roz Kelly plays an MTV like VJ, who me and Steve both agree that she's a little too old to be playing this part, but it strangely works. And I'm not giving anything away because they make no bones about showing who the killer is. Kip Niven plays her husband, but he's also the deranged killer that's going around killing people in each of the time zones when the clock strikes midnight. And no, that doesn't mean he's traveling to those time zones. He's just killing somebody where he's at the stroke of midnight in each of the time zones. So he's got to keep track of all those time zones. Kip Niven is absolutely fantastic. It's the deranged killer in this film. And he does a lot of stabbing and leaving women in different spots for the cops to find. It's like a scavenger hunt with bodies, kind of. So I enjoy New Year's Evil. Even though they say it's new wave music and it's not new wave, I thought it was more punk. Steve calls it bad rock, but anyway, New Year's Evil is a fun movie nonetheless. All right, another one of my big favorites from 1980 is Prom Night. Another Canadian film. This is when the Canadians were doing all their best stuff as far as horror was concerned. And this has Miss Jamie Lee Curtis starring in it. This is still when Jamie Lee Curtis was, still doing the horror thing. Even though Jamie Lee Curtis has said time and time again she's not a horror fan, but she was definitely in plenty of them, and she's going to be in another one that's from this group. And I'll leave it to y'all to take guesses on which one it is before I get to it. I got one more to talk about before I get to that one. So this is my favorite Prom Night. Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 is fine, but this is the absolute best one, the original one, as far as I'm concerned. It's definitely a slasher. So we have young Robin Hammond, who is Kim and Alex's sister. And Jamie Lee Curtis plays the older Kim once they get to high school age. But the movie starts out with some of the neighborhood kids playing a very twisted game of hide and seek, where you count to 10, everybody else hides, one person's it, everybody else hides. And then instead of, ready or not, here I come, they say, the killer is coming. The killer's going to get you. And, I don't know if this is a Canadian version of hide and seek or just something that was added to this movie, but it's a very, creepy thing. So they're in this old convent. It always looked like an old school to me, but apparently it's a convent. They're playing in this old dilapidated convent, and they probably shouldn't be there, but kids do things that they're not supposed to do sometimes. And Kim and Robin and Alex, Robin and Alex are twins, come upon the kids playing in the convent. And Kim kind of has a crush on Nick, and they see Nick outside of the building on the ledge outside one of the windows hiding. And Robin says, "Look, Kim, it's Nick." And the poor girl has a little bit of a stutter, so it comes out, "Look, Kim, it's Nick." And I'm not making fun of her. I'm just saying that's, you can clearly tell the girl's supposed to have a stutter. And Kim says, "Hi, Nick." And he's like, "Be quiet." And she says, "He's an idiot." And then she discovers she forgot one of her books, and she's going to go back to get it. And she says, "Robin, you and Alex go on." And I'm not sure if they're coming home from school or they're going to school. I kind of thought maybe they were coming home, because why else would the other kids have time to play hide and seek or their version of hide and seek in the morning? So she says, you and Robin, you and Alex go on. And Alex says, you know, he sees Robin looking wistfully at the old convent, and he says, come on. He says, they don't want you in their gang. And then he says, well, I'm not waiting. And she calls out after him, Alex, but it looks like Alex is gone. So she makes her way into the old convent, where when the kids discover her, due to Nick making a loud exclamation because she has ruined his hiding place, he says, here, killers, here. So he's going to have an utmost amount of guilt because all the kids start chasing poor Robin, saying, kill, kill, kill. And then they back her up against a window that is weak. Hence, poor Robin falls out of the window to her death. The other kids are scared. They want to go and tell somebody. Nick's like, we got to tell somebody quick. Well, Wendy says, no, she says, they'll say it's our fault. If we tell anybody about this, they'll put us in jail. You know, kid logic. So she says, we'll go away now and never, ever tell anybody about this. Well, you know, somebody always knows, right, folks? When you do wrong, somebody always knows. Okay. And we see a shadow. We don't know who it is. We see a shadow over top of poor Robin's body. Leslie Nielsen plays the kid's father, which is, you know, like I have said before, this is a departure from his more comedic roles like the Naked Gun stuff and Police Squad and things like that. So, but he does very good in this in a more dramatic role. Antoinette Bauer plays their mother. They think Robin was assaulted, or somebody tried to assault her, and she fended them off and ended up, you know, falling out the window to her death in the struggle. But somebody that day and night knows differently, and they know who caused Robin's death. So fast forward 6 years later to the kids are, you know, in high school now, and they're getting ready to have their prom. Somebody's calling the kids that caused Robin's death and, you know, saying things like, do you still like to play games? I'll see you tonight at the prom, and different things. And also putting shards of glass that's supposed to remind them, I guess, of the broken window in their lockers and all that. Logic says they wouldn't be able to get into their lockers, but, you know, what transpires in the rest of the movie might lead you to believe they may have had the upper hand with being able to get into lockers. So then it's prom night, and people are getting killed off in various brutal ways. But this movie doesn't really focus on the blood so much. It's more suspenseful. For instance, there's an axe murder where you can just fill in the blanks because you see the killer running around chasing a character with an axe, and finally you see their eyes get big, and then it goes to a black screen and you hear, now, 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 you know, and you hear the chopping of the axe. So you know that they're getting chopped up, right? So James Scott of Bloody Disgusting said this was one of his all-time favorite slashers. And it's one of my all-time favorite slashers too. And sorry for going on so much about it, but I absolutely love Prom Night. The Prom Night was a movie, and I probably said this before, that I remember my parents taking me with them when they went to see it at the drive-in. And the only part I could remember was the beginning part where poor young Robin Hammond falls to her death. But then I always wanted to watch the whole thing and was so thrilled when I was able to rent it and watch it. All right. So we're down to the last four, folks. So this is one y'all have heard me talk about too before. This is Schizoid starring Klaus Hansi Kinski. But I still love Klaus in this. But this is a movie that really fits that slasher giallo type mode. So you have this therapy group run by Dr. Fales, played by Klaus Kinski. And Klaus Kinski is evidently having sex with almost every one of his female therapy patients. And Mariana Hill plays one of his patients who's part of the therapy group that is trying to, get divorce proceedings between her and her husband, played by Craig Wasson. And Christopher Lloyd's also, can't talk, also in this as one of the therapy group patients. If you don't believe me, watch Schizoid. You will see him in here. So we have somebody that is going around slashing and hacking up members of the therapy group on their way to ultimately try to get the character of Julie, played by Mariana Hill, with a very large pair of scissors, which may give you a clue if you have a sharp eye to who the killer actually is. But I'm not going to give away the killer on here for those of you that haven't seen Schizoid. But very good little slasher, in my opinion. It was one I saw the trailer on another VHS that I was watching. Remember when they used to have trailers before and after? And I saw this and I was like, oh, I want to watch it. So when I was finally able to obtain a copy, I was just so absolutely thrilled. And it did not disappoint. I will say that. And we also had I believe, had a watch along or something to that effect with Schizoid here recently. The next one that has Jamie Lee Curtis in it is Terror Train, folks. This has been described by Erwin Yablans as Halloween on a Train. I don't agree with that because I don't really think it has any connection with Halloween or any similarities with Halloween. So we have poor Kenny Hampson, who when he was getting initiated and hoped to get into a fraternity, but he's kind of nerdy, kind of shy guy. And so the other guys in the fraternity decide to play a little joke on Kenny, and things go awry because Doc, one of the future medical or future doctors, I guess they're going to go to medical school. Why you would want this guy to be a doctor, I don't know, because Doc's a little bit of an asshole. But he gets a corpse and has Jamie Lee Curtis's character of Elena pretend like she's going to have sex with Kenny because Kenny likes her really, really well. So this is also a New Year's Eve film for those of y'all that didn't realize that. And so when poor Kenny finds out that this is a corpse, he loses it and gets shipped off to the mental hospital. Well, I think like 3 years later, a lot of the students are getting ready to graduate. Oh boy. Okay. Hold on just 1 second, folks. All right, sorry, folks. It's always a laugh a minute or a fun time a minute with these dogs. But anyway, 3 years later, a lot of the kids are graduating. Elena's one of them that's graduating early, and her friend Mitchie played. What's um, what is her name? Oh gosh. Well, anyway, I'm forgetting what her name is at this moment, but Jordan Sleepaway Camp is not on my list because these are 1980 ones, and The Shining's not on my list because I don't consider that one a slasher. I guess you could, but I don't really. I consider it a supernatural horror, but not a slasher. And like I said, the reason Sleepaway Camp is not on here is because this is just ones from 1980, and Sleepaway Camp is 1983. But anyway, her friend Mitchie, Doc's there, and he's Mitchie's boyfriend, and David Copperfield, the magician, David Copperfield, is on here as well. I love Kubrick's version of The Shining too, and I probably will be talking about it on a different stream, just not this one. And I don't think to be honest, I don't think Stephen King hates it as much now as he used to. But I could be wrong. But anyway, we also have Ben Johnson as one of the conductors. Hart Bochner plays Doc in this, and Dee Dee Winters, aka Vanity. Yes, that Vanity, Princess Vanity, that is in this film too. So, and it's directed by Roger Spottiswoode from Tomorrow Never Dies and other films. But I like this one because I like the fact that they're all wearing costumes pretty much, and a lot of people are wearing masks. So, what happens when the killer kills somebody, they take their costume and kind of pose as that person. So, you never really know, is this person who we think it is, or is this the killer? Right? And we also have a very creepy hag mask as well, right there, that the killer dons, that Mitchie has on at some points in the films. And it sort of reminds me of the hag mask in Curtains, which they are both Canadian films. But I like Terror Train. Some people I know don't much. Was a train slasher movie ever made? Well, I mean, I guess you could call Terror Train a slasher movie. They're on a train. But now we're down to the last two, and I'm actually saving the best for last, and y'all will be like, no. So, but we're going to talk about this one first. This is another holiday slasher, Christmas Evil, starring Fiona Apple's dad, Brandon Maggart. Anybody remember Fiona Apple? Well, her dad plays Crazy Harry in this. So Harry idolized Santa Claus when he was a kid until he saw his father dressed as Santa Claus and his mama messing around, and that messed him up. So he's even more determined to become the greatest Santa Claus ever. And so he begins to believe he really is Santa Claus, and it's his job to punish the naughty and reward the nice. And he even has books that say nice children, or good children, and bad children. And he kills a few adults along the way until a lynch mob comes after him, wanting to take Harry out. So there's a very creepy scene. I guess you could say that, Jordan. So pretty much like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Krampus together. Yeah, I mean, he's wanting to punish people. Um, and, he goes awry the closer it gets to Christmas. And the creepy scene, though, I was talking about, I always find this creepy because slowly Harry begins to, and then he goes further into overdrive as the film feeds towards its conclusion until he really believes he's Santa, because there's this whole scene where he takes super glue. Hey, Phil. He takes super glue and puts a beard on, and he pulls on it, and he's like this. It's just very, very creepy to me. It might not be creepy to anybody else. And he says, "It's me. It's me." And it's like, okay, dude, you need to take a pill, go lay down or something. But the film does have some good kills in it. Um, I'm guessing this one wasn't nearly as well known as like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and why this didn't suffer the same wrath that Silent Night, Deadly Night did. I don't think it suffered any wrath. I mean, they wanted to string the filmmakers of Silent Night, Deadly Night up by the balls. Parents all over wanted to do that, but nobody said anything about Christmas Evil or You Better Watch Out was the other title of this. But both slashers where somebody dresses up as Santa and kills people. So yeah, that is Christmas Evil. Yes, you are correct, Jordan. There was a Tales from the Crypt episode where an evil Santa kills people. I have not seen Santa Slay. I think Stephen asked me that last night or the night before, and I've heard of Santa Slay, and I've heard it's wild and it has Bill Goldberg in it, but I have never seen it myself. Now, folks, remember I said I saved the best for last? Well, this is the only one I don't have a physical copy of. And I'm going to hear the groans, and I'm probably going to get complaints about what in the heck are you doing, Dana? Talking about this movie again. Hold on one second, folks. I got to let one of my dogs in. Oh, I agree with you, Phil. Really cool looking evil Santa. So, folks, hopefully I won't have to get up again until I am done with this. Sorry for those couple of interruptions, but everybody I think that comes to my streams on a regular basis knows I have dogs. So here we go, folks. I'm ready to hear the screams of disgust from people everywhere. Terror on Tour. I had to, folks. I had to include this because, folks, again, I don't find this an awful film. And I don't find it an awful slasher. I think it's fun. It's a little cheesy, but it's fun. I don't find it boring. I mean, the only problem with this movie is that so far there has not been a good quality print that's come out. And I don't know if we'll ever get a good quality print. Steve was able to find on YouTube at one time, I don't know if it's still up. It was put out by a company called Astral Films. I never heard of it. Media Home Entertainment did put out the VHS. I do have a VHS of it, but it's muddy as all get out. It is dark. Okay. The best copy I've seen is that one put out by Astral Films. And that one looked the most cleaned up of any version of Terror on Tour that is out there, I think. So I don't know that we'll ever see one of the boutique labels put this one out. I think what the holdup with Terror on Tour is that the songs by The Names, which was a real band that had recently broken up, but they are the guys that play the band The Clowns in Terror on Tour. Jordan, you say, have you ever listened to the commentary of Silent Night, Deadly Night, where the guys laugh at the garbage day part? I don't know, but I would be willing to guess that a lot of people that have done commentaries for Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 have laughed at the garbage day part, because so I'm not sure which commentary you may be referring to, but I'm sure there's a lot of them where they laugh at that part. Phil, you say I need to watch Terror on Tour still. Yeah, I mean, I'd highly recommend it. If you can find it for a free copy, I say give it a watch. Jordan, you say it looks like demonic clowns dressed like Kiss. And have you ever watched the horror movie Tiny Tim? If you're referring to Blood Harvest, Jordan, yes, I have. The one with Tiny Tim. That's the only one I know that has Tiny Tim on it. But I think they were kind of going for a Kiss-like vibe with the clowns. But anyway, we had this group called the Clowns that were kind of like a pop band or just a regular rock band. They had ballads and stuff like that. And they didn't even, like they say, we never got a chance with that straight garbage last year. And so they decided to go this route and dress up like the Clowns and tell people go home or we'll kill you at the end of their concerts. They cut up mannequins on stage and throw the parts out in the audience. And believe it or not, John Wintergate from Boarding House and his woman Colossu are in the audience as Mod Boy and Mod Girl. Now, I said there was one drawback, and that was the very dark transfer. But there's another thing. The women are the stupidest bunch of women I have ever seen. They're complete boneheads. And I think that's by design. They're supposed to be your typical groupies that show up around rock singers and don't have a brain one in their head and say stupid bonehead things and have sex with the band. Yeah, that's all they do. But so somebody is killing people at the after parties, at the Clowns concerts. And could it be the Clowns? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you. I do know who the killer is, but I don't want to tell you. And the guy playing their manager is none other than the Soup Nazi, or the Soup Nutsy, as they have to call him now, from Seinfeld. And again, if you don't believe me, check this film out, folks. I find it a fun little slasher. Yeah, it's cheesy. Yeah, it's got stupid women in it. Yeah, it's got a dark print, where you can't see a lot of stuff, but still had a lot of fun with it. could highly recommend it. It's directed by none other than Don Edmonds. I don't think Don Edmonds was ever very proud of this movie. I wish I could have asked him about it. God rest his soul. Yeah, I thought there were some copies on YouTube, but thank you for bringing that up, though, Phil. But I guess that is all from me. I've been on here almost an hour, which is usually how long these top Evil Dead Chicks top 10s run. Sorry, that's a notification that's going to go off there. But Phil, Jordan, the poet, my dear husband, Steve, thank y'all for being in the chat and keeping me company in the chat tonight. And for those of you that didn't feel comfortable getting into the chat, or maybe you were watching this stream on a device such as a smart television where you weren't able to chat at the same time, I appreciate you being in here and watching as well. And for those of you that didn't get to watch this while it was going on live, thank you, Phil. You take care as well. And thanks again for stopping by. I hadn't seen you for a while. I figured you'd been busy. But for those of you that couldn't join me live, or you couldn't stay for the duration but watch this on the replay, I appreciate each and every one of you guys and gals as well. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off up here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Friday night, folks. Happy Friday the 13th. The poet says, have a safe Friday the 13th. Don't drink, don't fool around, and don't do drugs. Those are all good things to do any day of the week or month. Except if you're having safe sex, don't have unsafe sex. Okay, just a little public service announcement for you. But you are exactly right, the poet. Especially don't do those things on Friday the 13th, folks, or Jason might come get you. There, I said it. I will mention Jason during the stream. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time if you can for the Changeling watch along, and be on the lookout for some new polls that I'm going to be putting up shortly. And keep voting on the other polls that are up there. I have taken the time one down because there's no longer a need for me to do that, but I will keep in mind what you guys and gals voted for in case that arises later on. Also, I got a new Positive Renegade, My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade, Chapter 13, the Beware of Trolls edition. We're going to talk about how to deal appropriately with trolls. We're not going to point fingers. We're not going to name names. We're just going to talk in general about trolls and how to kind of beat them at their own game, folks. Oh, well, that's okay, Stalin. I just finished up, but you are welcome to watch this on the replay. That helps me as well. But that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern time Sunday night. I almost said tomorrow night, but tomorrow night's the watch along for the Changeling at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade, Chapter 13, the Beware of Trolls edition at 8 o'clock p.m. on Sunday Eastern time, folks. Keep that in mind. But I am out of here for now, but I'll see everybody next time.